Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So we've got the 205 behind me. In today's video we're going to be discussing everything that's wrong with it and what we are going to be doing to get it back on the road, get it fixed, get it sorted and get it running again. Some things have already been fixed and I'll discuss them. Some things are now broken more than they were originally. We're going to have to discuss them. And I'll just give you a general plan of what we are going to be doing in the near future. There's lots more videos to come of this if the weather stays nice. And yes, I'm wearing the same clothes because I filmed all these videos on the same day, so shut up. First things first then, there's a glaring issue whether you guys can spot it or not. There's a few glaring issues realistically. It needs painted. So the whole point of this project was to try and do it for relatively cheap, just get it back on the road, try and spend as little money as possible of that 1200 budget I mentioned in the last video. So I spent about £150 on a spray gun and some paint, some proper car paints. The spray gun was not good at all and it didn't work. It's well out of my realm, so we'll go do it properly, but then that'll mean the car is in really good condition for doing everything else we want to do to it, like wrapping, etc. But I'd rather try and do it cheap and it not work than do it expensive, and I could have done it on the cheap, so you know. Second issue, as you can see here, this bumper is not held up by anything. The inside panel here is actually rusted off, and it's the only part of the car that has got significant rust in it. But generally, like inside the wheel arches and everything, there is no rust anywhere. The body condition and inside the engine bay is generally really good. Like I said, there's a few spots. It is 25-year-old, 26-year-old, so there are a few spots here and there, but a lot of them can probably just be sanded out when it gets resprayed. So when I've got a company in mind, and once they come and get the car, there's a few things I'm going to ask them to do. It's got no windscreen and it's got no back window. I smashed the back window and I think they smashed the front window getting it out, but they didn't say that. They just said it didn't come with it, but I found parts of the smashed glass of the front window, so we need to get new front and back windows. If I can try and get a second-hand one from somewhere, it'd be a lot cheaper, but from Auto Glass it's about £600, so this is going to cost a lot more than my budget originally was. But now I've sold the A7, I'm not too fussed about putting a bit more money into it, and like I say, it's a classic car. These are going up in price, the GTI specifically, but even these are going up in price, so if I can get this into a good state, get it looking nice, I won't mind spending the money on it because I won't lose the money on it necessarily. But the plan is to not sell it. I don't want to sell it. I want to keep this for a long time. I'm very attached to it already and I've never even drove it. So yeah, that needs fixed. So again, when it gets resprayed, I'll get them to sort that out and put a new panel on it and weld it up and stuff. I don't have a welder or anything, so I can't do that myself. I could if I had a welder, but I'm not buying a welder just for that one job. Another glaring issue you can probably see, the suspension. So I actually went into a garage just before Christmas-ish, and I did film a video at the time of it coming back, but it was all messed up. The sound and stuff was horrendous, so I scrapped that video. But the suspension on the front was worn, all the brakes were worn, brake line was corroded, there was lots of things done with it. I spent about £1,000 on mechanical stuff for it. If I've still got the list, I'll put it up here, maybe you can read that. I couldn't read the text at the time. It's actually caused a few more issues, and yeah, I'll show you. While we're on the topic, these tyres 100% need change. There's not even any tread on the back ones, so all 4 tyres need changed, so that'll be another £200 or something for all them. So as you can see, this total is racking up now, but I'm invested. I've already spent the money, so I'm gonna have to just keep spending. Sorry, it's so bright. So as you can see, brand new suspension. Ooh, shiny. Now obviously the previous owner has done a bit of work to it and has actually lowered the suspension, because that is lowered suspension. I think that's what it's supposed to be, but that's what they've done to it. So now it doesn't match, so we need to get this suspension lowered. Now I was gonna plan on putting coilovers on it anyways and do that myself. However, I found another problem. Now, I'm not a mechanic, so I don't actually know this, but these here were 3 bolts, and now it's been welded. This side, and on this side. So I don't know if I can now take them out without having to maybe drill them out, but then I don't know how I'm going to attach them, because again, I don't have a welder, so I don't know. I honestly don't know about this, but I'm assuming that's going to cause me a lot of issues if I try and take the suspension out myself. So I'm going to have to get a second opinion on that. What they also done was replace the brakes. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but that line there, like one of the clips on the brake caliper on here, has been catching it. So I've had to buy a spacer to pull the wheels out a bit for now, just to stop them catching and damaging the wheels. Now again, they weren't damaging the wheels beforehand, they weren't catching. It's only once it came back from having this work done. So like I say, whoever had it before obviously had changed some bits on it, obviously changed the suspension themselves. Because I had yellow springs and I imagine that's not standard. And I imagine they had some different brake pads in to make these wheels fit. Now the garage I took it to just returned it to completely standard, and obviously it doesn't work with these alloys. But obviously now the wheel's sticking out too far from the body, and that is illegal. I sanded down and painted up the inside of the bonnet here and the underside to be like satin black. It's so sunny, I'm sorry if the camera's not picking any of this up. I cleaned up all the engine. We've got a new battery in because it was having trouble starting, which actually it hasn't started since about November, so we'll give that a little whip and see if we can get it on, but that battery probably needs charged again. But as you can see, for a 26-year-old car, it is not bad looking in here. It's been well looked after, I'll give it that. So the full inside of the car is also stripped out. We've only got the one seat in, so like if it needs to be drivable, I can kind of drive it. Those seats out, the back seats. All the plastic interior is gone. Now a lot of the interior pieces do have marks, scratches, some of them are bust. The little clips that keep them on are all like knackered, so I'm gonna have to get new clips to put all the plastic things back on. The tyre actually burst on the front wheel, so now it's got the space saver on, which we need a new one of these because I'm not happy with that, and that's obviously going under here as an actual space saving wheel, so I'll get a new one of them. So if I do have a puncture, I've actually got a wheel that I feel safe to be driving on, because I don't feel safe driving on this in the state it's in. But you can see it there in the garage, that's me with the wheel. They are going to need refurbished because, as you can see, they're a bit of a state, so they need like fully polished up. Obviously being a mag alloy, they're like super shiny, high gloss, and I've never dealt with them before. So I'm going to look at some tutorials, maybe get some things, try and polish it up, do my best job. However, I'm not sure because the person who had it before obviously decided that they didn't want the inside shiny, and they've just sprayed black around here. So obviously from the front you get like the nice black contrast on the wheel. So I don't know whether I can just polish that up or it'll need properly like sandblasted. I don't know whether I can take that off myself. Actually, just looking at it here, that wheel looks like it's turned inwards. Like I said, I just took it to like a local, normal garage, whereas when I send it to this classic car place, I know they've done cars like this before, like proper, like 205s and all stuff like this. So they'll know what they're talking about, they'll know what they're looking for. Buying blind off Facebook is a bad thing to do anyways, but obviously not speaking to the owner and not like getting an understanding of what they've done to the car, and just receiving a car that you've no idea what's been done to. This is the headliner of the car, so that needs it's all broken on here as well, where you can see it on there. It's all broken, so we need to get it fixed up, but then we also need to take that off because I don't particularly want that in. I'm going to just put some black fabric over it for now. At some point we'll get the seats reupholstered, because although I love these seats, they're like super comfy. I actually really like this pattern. Massive hole, so I'll maybe kind of get a patch over that for now, but eventually I will reupholster this if I am enjoying the car and I want to spend more money on it and I get some more money in the future. I get these like fully reupholstered, and then what I'll do is I'll match the roof lining to the chairs so it all matches. But I'm going to be painting the interior myself because I've got some rattle cans and I can do it with rattle cans. I just don't want to do the whole outside with it because I think that needs to be a bit better and more professionally done than just me with a rattle can in the garage. But I'm going to get the inside all kind of done and ready, and then I can send it to this other guy who will then do the full outside and everything else that needs done. Some of the lights work, some of them don't. That might be bulbs, might be electrical, don't know. Fuses, because you've got fuses in there, and I think there's some fuses in there. I've never looked in them, so we need to basically check them all out, make sure they're all okay. That light is not fitted properly, but this GTI front bumper obviously isn't standard to this car. They've put that on themselves, so they aren't attached to anything, but that one doesn't fit properly, so we need to get that sorted. A little bit of damage on the front bodywork here. That shouldn't be literally, that just needs kind of patched in there. That'll be alright. The back bumper here is a bit oddly shaped. This is slightly warped here. You can see it kind of curves like that, whereas that one's flat. So that maybe just needs bent back into place. There's a screw missing from there, which is why there's a big gap in it. Now I don't think this is the original exhaust, but the exhaust is like touching there and it's kind of melted the plastic on here, so we need this exhaust sorted. We need it kind of pulled down a bit so there's a bigger gap, so it's not touching, or it needs to be extended out so it's away from the plastic, because it's just pumping the hot air straight onto there, whereas it should be blowing it out. Like a standard 205 exhaust would come out to about there in a really thin long pipe. This is obviously a short fat stubby one. Now it sounds really good, but obviously it's causing damage to the car. Now I don't want to get it freshly resprayed and then causing damage to it. And I think that's everything. Now sorry about this video, I was really challenging with the sun and how bright it is. I maybe should have brought it into the shade, but hindsight. So that's all the major things that are wrong with it. There's a lot of other things wrong with it. There's a lot of things missing, a lot of things we need to get, there's a lot of things broken, there's a like There's still a lot more things than just that, but that was kind of the main things that need sorted in the near future. And then once all that's done, that's it back on the road, and then I can tinker with all the little things like the seat and the interior panels, because I don't need interior panels to actually drive on the road, but I do need a windscreen. So, you get what I'm saying. So we'll try and start it up now and see if it'll start after not being started up for about 3-4 months. Give it a shot. That new battery has made a huge difference, because the old battery, it was struggling to start all the time. I was quite concerned whenever I got in it that it wouldn't start. Now though, even after 4 months, that started. Some cars in my estate, new cars, 2015 cars, I've seen the A come out and boot start them on a morning because they haven't been driven in like a couple of weeks. This thing hasn't been driven in 3-4 months and it's still start. I know this is probably a long video and you're probably bored of hearing my voice, but if you made it this far, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. We will get some proper videos on the go very shortly of actually doing some things to it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more of the car, obviously subscribe. Yeah, peace out guys.